morning. I'm Prof. YK Chan. I'm from the Department of Anaesthesiology. I would like to welcome all of you fellow colleagues to this Wednesday morning symposium or rather session. And we actually had to share with you the very fact that in the last 16 months or so, we've actually been facing a lot of turmoil in the form of fighting a very invisible force, the COVID-19 pandemic. And this has actually taken a toll on a lot of us, visible or invisible, in the form of a burnout or in the form of depression. And this was actually picked up in a survey that was actually done that shows that 50% of the care providers in the front line, of course, the anesthesiologists, have come out or come down with this problem. And to address this problem, we have actually specially invited Dr. Venga. Dr. Venga is not a medical doctor, but a PhD doctor who has, I would say, who is actually a life science guru and a motivational speaker. In fact, besides being a guru, he has actually held the position of an MD in AstraZeneca for 24 years. And he has actually conducted something like 10,000 seminars on time management. Yes, time management is indeed his forte and impacted the lives of 300,000 executive managers. In fact, that forte and expertise has been so good that he even found how to actually freeze time for himself. You won't believe it if I were to tell you he's actually reached something like 82 years, but he doesn't look a day more than 42 years itself. So he will tell us how actually to cope with this burnout that I was actually speaking to you about. And he's going to spend the next 20 minutes doing so, but for the rest of the hour, he and I are going to have a dialogue session to address some of the issues you are going to bring up about this topic. Dr. Venga, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Chan. Thank you very much. Thank you for the compliments. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor, really an honor to speak to all of you and share with you what I consider a very important part of our life and what we have been through. In the 16 months, as Professor Chan said, we have been through a lot. Actually, I'm not speaking to you from a glass tower. Let me just share with you what people don't know, and I think I can share my own story. At the beginning of the 2020, about that same period, I discovered, my doctor discovered that I have a problem with my bone marrow and that it was not even producing enough hemoglobin. As you know already, this is MDS. And I went through that during the entire period, recovered from it, and did whatever I could with the help of a hematologist. I'm back again to my normal hemoglobin level. And then in November last year, my second son he detected colon cancer, stage 4, and they gave him 6 months. He was operated, he went on treatment. As I speak to you today, his entire markers have disappeared from him completely, and he is back as normal as it can be. So I'm not speaking to you in terms of just some theoretical things that you hear or that you read in a book. This is a life story of my life. Now, let me not waste your time, quickly tell you that I first want to honor all of you medical people for what you're going through. And I tell you, my dear friends, you have done what no other human give, and that is to enter into a war zone, knowing very well that this infection can even affect you. And yet you did it. What more can I say about you? Thank you. All the people of Malaysia, I thank you for giving these medical doctors your help. And if you can help them, please help them whenever possible. Now, you know this to be true, and that is that I don't seem to be moving. The screen doesn't seem to want to move. Let me see if I can help.
Dr. Venga, just press down on the down button.
Aha, very good. See, Dr. Professor, thank you very much. You see, we know this for a fact. We are not alone. And this is being published daily in and out of it. And then I just want to share with you quickly the yesterday's statistics. You can see what we are. We have really nearly hit 1 million cases, and that at least 6.5 million people have had the first dose. This is just a quick example of it, okay? Now, this is something that I dug up and said, maybe I should share with you. Nelson Mandela said this. He said, whenever we are in trouble, human somehow or other has the compassion to actually come together and then do something for the future. When he said it for himself and for the South African people. But in my life, I've seen this, that actually humans have lost their humanity. We have become very selfish in what we do. We are not willing to share what we have. And that's one of the reasons why this pandemic is affecting us, in my opinion. And that is that we should start to become human again, understand relationship. This is what I discovered in the number of people I've dealt with from March the 1st to the 30th of June. I have conducted 1,647 discussions for 1 hour, many of them for 2 hours, and some for 3 hours, helping them understand themselves. And I've seen people have generally lost that humanity. In fact, sad to say, I've discovered very young people wanting to separate from their wife or husband, can't manage their children. We do not know how to manage our own children in a confined space like a home. We can manage them going to work or both going to work and get somebody else to manage them. I'm really surprised to learn that. And this statement is about humanity, about freedom. But we now have to use this statement and say, hey, is there a way in which we can look at this in a different way? So that's why when Professor Chan and I put together this, you must understand that while you are providing all the effort to heal the COVID patient and help them recover, yet have the people understood this or not? From what I see in our city, people are just ignoring it, no? But there are many, many people suffering burnout and depression. Who are helping them? They don't know how to help themselves. Yes, are there places in which they can go to and help, and people, are they aware of this, where they can go to and help them? Do we have a group of places they can go to and talk it out, reach them, find their own inner strength in order to recover from this pandemic? And with that, let me just try to share with you something else. Okay? That is, this issue of mental health already hit me at the early stage of the COVID, when people called me and said, Venga, I know that you are not coming out to see people. I know, can I talk to you on the WhatsApp? I said, yeah, sure, why not? So we spent some time there. And then from there, we graduated to talk on the Zoom. Now, I suddenly realized that because of the stress and anxiety, their entire immune system also was a problem. So I just talked to them. And it's not I doing something. They found a way to do things. And all of them, I must say, are very safe. But I also must say that you are not alone. There are thousands and millions of Malaysians who are suffering from this, I think we should all put our hands together and help them. To understand this, I need to share with you my own personal experience, okay? Now, we must realize that yes, we have been bombarded from the 18th century to hit us so much by the modern civilization from the West that we have to get rich. It doesn't matter if my neighbor dies, I have to get rich. That we have to be number one in anything. We've been pushed towards that for I don't know, 10,000 years, we never had this problem. But yet in 200 years, we have seen so much of destruction of human realization, human understanding. You know, I have to work, you have to work, your wife got to work, your children, in order to survive. We've come to that stage. Why? We've created the situation ourselves. I am so glad that this period of this COVID period has helped us to recognize and realize that we must immediately change our behavior, understand ourselves. By understanding ourselves, we can understand the neighbor. And by understanding our neighbor, we can understand the people around us, those who work with us, those who are our, you know, I have to deal with people who have difficulty talking to their mother, talking to their children. And this is what I realized. And this realization leads to many things. People are anxious, they are sad, they can't sleep well. They have a change. They have problem in the weight. They have difficulty in concentrating to do work or themselves or spend time with their children. And the quality of whatever they were doing has declined. And you can see the list that goes on and on. So let me say this. This is a statement I like you to understand. And that is that somehow or other, most psychologists treat people with mental illness or mental difficulty or mental understanding with a phenomena with little or no connection to the physical body. And then physicians, doctors, they of course treat, I am the case of that, my own son is the case of that. When we move away from this and look at it ourselves, hey, if I created something inside me, is there a way in which I can try to help myself to recover from it? And that is something I like to pass on today to you. Think about this, okay? Yes, medical doctors can heal you, but you can also heal yourself by looking inside you to find ways in which you can come out of this depression, can come out of this suffering that you're going through. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we need to change our perception. There is two things, very quickly. There are many, many things I have, but for this case, I'm saying that you must separate your body and your mind. Give it some space. You can't take it out, but give it some space. Realize that you have your own psychological drama. You have created this yourself because you have a huge, as I call it, vivid memory, a memory that is so powerful. And you have been collecting it from the day you were born through your 5 senses. And you are always looking at your memory and using your own intellect to dissect it. And you look around and round, you're going round and round. We must separate that. Once you separate that, you can differentiate between yourself and your mind. And then you can start repairing your own self. Just a quick example. If you cut yourself, do you really have to do something to stop the bleeding, or the bleeding stop by itself? There are many things in your body that is doing it by inside. Intelligence is sitting inside your body. And I hope that you will think about it, think a little bit and try to find a way to resolve your issue. To do this, I need to bring up 3 important things. Our own perception of things. We look upon it from our own memory, from our understanding, from our reading, from our experience. We look at it the way this picture represents the same thing, But when somebody looks from a different point of view, he or she will see differently. This has happened to you, me, and everybody else in this planet Earth of 7.6 billion. And because of this, we have a tremendous amount of misunderstanding. The biggest understanding that you are going through now is the affair between China and the United States. I'm not a politician, but this is because, again, only if you go to the other side of this particular perception, then you can understand how others see it. We refuse to see how others see it. We want to see it only the way we know it and we think they're right. So we have been taught in the 200 years about right and wrong. But just imagine, if I give you a flower, a rose flower, to understand it, do you dissect it completely or admire and appreciate it? That is what I'm talking about. Between the mind and the body, there is something unique. What you will call, whatever name you want to use is okay, but it is something that you develop. The spiritual nature of a human being is only when you understand the spiritual nature of it, will you be able to understand different people's view. The second thing I want you to pay attention is emotion. Emotion is something that you develop. It doesn't come with you. You have developed it from the day you were born. These emotions are created by you with your own memory. And these memories are what you develop. And because of that emotion, you sometimes don't even know that you are throwing your own emotion at others. Instead of examining the emotion, how can I look at it from a different angle? How can I see this episode I've been through? How can I find a way to look at it from a different point of view? How can I see it from other people's point of view? These are questions that you can ask yourself and improve yourself. I am telling you this. This is exactly what I've done, both with myself, my son, and everything around my house. The third thing is clarity. We lack clarity, but we have a lot of confidence. With confidence, you destroy yourself and whatever is in front of you. Tell me this. Tell me this and ask yourself this question. Are the educated people destroying the world, or are the illiterate who have never been to school destroying the world? I don't know. 10,000 years? In 200 years, we have swallowed this earth already, more or less to the extreme, because we lack the clarity. And the only way you can come back is to examine your thought. Your thought process is coming from your memory. And if your memory is what is making you ride the wave, then you have to look at it deeper. I am telling you, and this is my own experience, clarity is the key to a human success. And without clarity, you will never, ever be able to live a good life, because it is the lack of clarity that leads into misunderstanding with parents, with children, with our neighbors, whatever that is, okay? This clarity is important, not confident. Confident is good only if your clarity is good. If your clarity is not so good, like this glass I show you, no? People do not understand that they don't see things the way it is. They see things the way they want to see. And that is influenced by your own thought, by your own confusion, and also your own inner self. If you can examine this, I believe that we can get to better. How do you do that? That's the key. There are three things that you need to do. Whenever you are troubled in your mind and you are thinking about it, whether it be sadness, happiness, whatever that is, sit down and try to write it down. Writing gives you clarity. This is what I talk to my people. The 1,647 people have suddenly clarified their thinking a bit by just doing this simple thing. Writing down, why am I thinking like that? Why is it bothering me? What can I do about it? And these are simple questions, because the answer is not outside. The answer is inside you. This is what I call the process. And every single day of your life, if you just sit down and write out a few things that you want to do, And I put the word goal by the side of process, because without the process, you want the end result is the goal. You cannot reach the goal until and unless you look at the process. And after having done that, the third thing you must do is review. Always review what you have done and ask yourself, hey, can I do this little better? Am I happy with what I have done? My conversation with my wife, can I not improve it? Why am I having this misunderstanding with my children? Why is it that I don't seem to understand my husband? If you ask these questions yourself, you will definitely, I guarantee you that you will definitely find an answer. Because the answer is not outside, it's inside us. Because the outside is the five senses that gives you an impression. And that is what you are perceived, but that is not the real thing. That all what you have absorbed goes into the memory. Because you have a huge memory, therefore, all the time you're tapping and tapping into your memory. But your intelligence, which is running your entire body, your kidney, your liver, your digestive system, whatever you have inside you. Like for instance, did you get up and give an instruction to move your bowel? It comes automatically because it's intelligent enough to move it. Also, because of that, this simple process, write things down for clarity, and then look at the clarity by asking, hey, can I do this better? Is there another way to improve it? And then review them. This is a simple process. I hope you will take it on. Now, there are a couple of things. Sleeping is one of the most important things in your life, and especially during this COVID period. You must get a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of sleep. I will not elaborate. Please, we can talk during the discussion. Second, nutrition, the type of food that you eat. I put a chart out here. Okay, it is important that you eat a lot of vegetable. And if you can grow some vegetable in your own garden, you don't need a plot of 1 acre of land. All you need is maybe 10 feet by maybe 4 feet. That's it. And you can actually grow some things. Nutrition is important. The third thing is you need to take a break. Whenever you feel frustrated, you are feeling that anger coming into you, or you feel that, I'm feeling stressed out. Hey, take a walk. Get out and walk. Not walk around the block, but even within your own space or a corridor. Like in your hospital, there are many, many corridors. I walk, and very good place to walk. And then you will see a lot of people. You know, in your university, very rare do I find people joyful, happy. They're all with a sour face, like as if the world has come to a doom. I've been to your university many, many times, including the lecturers, the students, whatever. They don't sound happy. But if you go to a primary school, every kid is laughing. Take a break, Lana. Take a break and look at yourself. Okay. Then the next thing is always be with positive people. There are a lot of negative people. Only 20% of your friends that you have are people who are positive, who can help you, and help themselves. The rest of them are negative. They come from that type of surrounding because they see the world differently. Everything is not good for them. Everything is bad, and complain. We used to think that hey, this is only 20% of the population that is like that. No, it's a majority of the people at the human level. In the political level, I don't know. But at the human level, we have people who are always negative. Oh, I can't do this. No, you should not do that. No, like this. No, like that. Get out of that people and look for a few, but very good, positive people. Next, you have stress. I have stress. The whole world has got stress. All human has stress. Yes, but it is not engaging yourself to go deeper into stress, but acknowledging that the stress is coming from yourself. You make up the stress. And then ask yourself, why am I stressed out? Why? Fine. Once you recognize that it is my mother-in-law, as an example only, mother-in-law, please don't forgive me. Mother-in-law, if you recognize it's my mother-in-law that's causing them, what is it that she's doing that causing them? Oh, she's always comparing me with her eldest daughter's husband or something like that. It'll come. And this is something, okay? Part of the problem of stress is when you start to compare yourself with other people, then you see the gap and you get stressed out. You see other people doing something better than you, you get stressed out. These are things you must resolve yourself. Let's talk about it during the discussion, okay? News media, my dear friend, from the beginning of my life till now, I actually learned how to read and write. From the age of 13, I learned how to read and write, and some of you know about it, okay? Let me say this to you, okay? I have never, ever read a newspaper during those times. Even right now, I don't watch the television. I don't watch CNN. I don't. And all my time, I tell people, don't go to this media, whether social or otherwise. They are always presenting negative things. And that during this period, I have seen experts writing that they spend less than 2 hours a day on the media because they find that it is very, very disturbing and it will influence you. Now, again, exercise is also a key part of your life. Everyone I talk to, I make them walk. If not around their own house, at least inside their room. Walk by walking on if you can afford a treadmill. If not, buy yourself a walking pad and walk a little bit. Slow walk. Even when you are old, if you are old, do that. This, we have a beautiful country and there are many gardens and walkways. We can do that. But this is a must. At least 20 minutes a day. You need to do that, okay? And mental health. We need to get help. Now, here, my feeling is that in your hospital, you could actually, with the help of the authorities, with the help of the administrators, form mental groups that can help. Actually, your group should be formed by ages because young people will respond to young people, middle-aged people to middle-aged people, and then older people. There are others. You can have one more group of mixture of all. But these kind of professional help you need to talk. And this is one way in which you can talk about it, okay? Finally, you need to manage the skill of your own time. You see, ladies and gentlemen, you only have 16 hours a day, wake hours that is. The other 8 hours is meant for sleeping. Okay, in this 16 hours, you need to find out how to develop a skill to manage the 16 hours well. And if you can do all of this, what I've said, you will definitely get through this pandemic one way or another. I guarantee you that. Okay? Now, let me just stop here and then hand it over to Professor Chan, who will then take on the question. I will stop sharing. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Venga. That was really brilliant. In 20 minutes, you actually fed us with lots of gems that we can actually take home. And we are going to probably ask you to elaborate more, especially through the questions that has already started coming in. Now, we shall look at the questions. Somebody has actually asked if burnout is an individual problem or whether it stems from workplace culture, healthcare policies, and societal expectations. What do you think?
Itself, it is you. You are the one that you don't understand your own self. What happens outside of you, whether it is the health authorities, the administrators, all these are what you perceive. It's what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch. These are perceptions that you're putting inside you. It is not real. Your own self. Remember when you were a little child, growing up 3, 4, 5 years old, jumping around, being happy all the time. How come you did it? How come suddenly such a joyful young person have become very like that? Why? You are doing it to yourself. I was brought up without any mother or father. The man who brought me up was the rickshaw puller. He was already at that time 70 over years old. He's the one who picked me up just during the war, and he brought me up. He can only talk to a 70-year-old man. But how come? I grew up myself. And I'm always joyful.
Now we found the magic as to how actually you managed to retain your youth.
Yes.
You're probably just about starting to live biological life by the looks of it. And you've shed away all the bad influences on life. So all of you, please out there, to cope with COVID-19 and preventing burnout, remove all the negative influences like the way Dr. Venga has done with his life. And I think it's a very good coping mechanism.
It is, Dr. Professor Chan. It is.
Yes,
I shall. You can do. You can do.
I shall practice that as well, because I have now only 1/3 left of my life, and I want to actually retain my youth as much as possible, at least starting from today, and live until probably Mahathir's age, as youthful as I am today.
You can live longer than him, but let me just say only one thing. Every morning when you get up and say, thank you, I am awake again today. Life is wonderful. That's it. Simple thing. Life is very good. Life is wonderful.
I totally agree with you, Dr. Venga. If you have the 24 hours all to yourself, like what I presently do now. But these are questions that has come from my department, a department where the care providers, being frontliners, are very stressed out. They want to know how to stretch the 24 hours with all the kind of work that has been loaded on them. In fact, some of them have not even got enough time to eat, especially when they are loaded with lots and lots of patients, and when they are actually encumbered by their PPEs, which need to last something like 8 hours or so of work.
Yes, sir.
How do you cope with that?
Okay, my experience, and I have talked to people, one person who has been who still is in the medical profession, and he is an anesthesiologist, same profession as yourself. I talked to him how he coped, and we talked about it. He chats with me quite often. This is my secret. When I am totally have a lot of things to do, which I have sometimes, I make sure that I do not concentrate with 100% of my energy on anything for more than 20 minutes. I divide them into 20-minute slots. So in 1 hour, there are 3 20 minutes. The first 20 minutes, I will spend 100% of my energy. The next 20 minutes, I will spend only 50% of my energy. And the third one, I will spend only 20% of my energy on an escalator. Then the next hour, again, I will spend 20 minutes, 100% of my energy on anything that I do. 20 minutes is the key. I gave a talk in Bernama for 2 years on this subject, on Radio Bernama. And all those recordings are actually sitting in my web called Ventrax web. You can go and listen to it. Do not spend more than 20 minutes doing something under this COVID period. Now, if you see a patient as an example, you have to get it over with within 15 minutes or 20 minutes, done. Then take a small break and work, but get down.
I like your focus on energy. Actually, it's something that it is actually a topic that I also hold very dear. I believe a lot of us tend to waste energy by procrastination.
Yes.
And, we also tend not to be able to prioritize our tasks. Everything seems very important and must be done. But of course, you have only 24 hours or as you say, only about 16 hours of awake time. And you just have so much energy. Depends on how much food you take in, of course. And of course, for some people, they seem to appear very energetic. They seem to have a greater efficiency in ATP production, I presume. So what are your comments on prioritization as well as avoiding procrastination? Focus on how to get over procrastination as a form of saving energy.
Okay, very good. Very good question. We must thank your staff for that, okay? Procrastination happens to almost every human, including me, including you, it'll happen. But procrastination is a result of a few things. One, I don't want to handle it because it's something personal to me. It's something I have to make a, give an opinion. I got to get involved in it because I can't handle it. So I procrastinate. I don't want to do it now. I postpone it to another time, hoping that it'll go away. This is the first assumption that we make. Always remember that you don't have the answer for everything. So it is important, it is very, very important that if you procrastinate because you don't want to handle it, then you are the issue. Because it will, emotionally, you don't feel good. So go back to clarity, get that out. The second reason people procrastinate is because they don't know what to do. Because they don't know how to handle it. So the best option for this is immediately talk to someone who can help you. No, I can't share this, very personal. Then deal with it. If you can't deal with it, talk to somebody else who can help you. Okay, it's a simple thing.
I think I totally agree with you. A lot of us are very muddled up there. Yes. And in fact, I think you've reached this stage of clarity in your life because your goal, as you said, has been to write, to have a goal, as well as to review it all the time. In fact, actually, if you remember what Francis Bacon has said, reading makes a fool man. All of us actually just stop at that. But the full force of what he actually has quoted, which has never been really taught fruitfully to all of us, is reading makes a fool man, conference a ready man, we're having a conference now, and writing a focused man. In fact, actually, this really the last part, writing. Why makes you a focused man? Because you are then putting the full force of the muddle in that brain of yours onto the paper, and you begin to see it for the first time. Yes. Whereas when it stays in the brain in a muddled form, you are just exhibiting some response to the stress that you are feeling. But writing it, I find, gives you a goal, as you say, how to tackle it, how to articulate. In fact, writing is articulation at its best. Yes. Of course, when you verbalize it, you make others hear it. And exactly, this is actually the way, because somebody was actually commenting that while a lot of burnout has come from the stress that we actually personally have created for ourselves, a lot of it is from external forces where we don't really seem to have a lot of control of. We can't possibly walk out on our patients when they are needing help. We can't not do the KPIs that has actually been put right in front on a plate, needing to be sorted out, and you have limited time. So how do we articulate these anxieties of us in a proper way so that the authorities come to their senses and know that we need help, so that we reach for help from the correct person? Your comments on this, please.
Dr. Professor Chan, it is actually a very simple answer to this. It's like this. You can only do what you know and can do. You cannot do what you don't know and cannot resolve. The authorities have certain power. You have no power to that. Do your very best. Give it your best shot with whatever you have. If you see, I went to a graduation ceremony in India, a medical university where they were graduating that year. And I remembered it immediately came out of my. I said, I've been to many graduations in Sweden, in England, medical. I've been there, and I've seen a lot. Except this one, I captured it, and always I have inside my mind. India, as you know, has got a huge population. This is what the professor was telling the graduating students, and he said, doctors, I congratulate you. India is not a country, it's a nation of 1.3, or at that time was 1.3 billion, maybe not 1.4 now, I don't know. He said this, we are not in America, we are not in Europe, we are in India. There will be many things that do not exist in the hospital to which you will be posted. You know what? Don't pick up the phone or telex or whatever and call everybody up and shout your problem. Find a solution to the problem. Find it yourself, because the solution is just around you. If you find it, he said this, no? Ask and it shall be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and it shall be opened. You have to look for it. He said, look at the villages that you're in. They have been treating themselves for a long time. How come? So talk to the people in the village. Ask them, how did they treat a simple thing like tapeworm? How do you do that? He said, don't sit there and call the authority for an answer. The answer will be no. See, the same thing also is happening at this pandemic in India. Many of the doctors are finding an answer to their situation, to their problem. I tell doctors in Malaysia, those in the public service, there are many things that you want. You may not have it, but do your best. As long as, Professor Chan, as long as you are satisfied that I have done my very best, then you will be happy.
That's very good, Dr. Venga. Very good advice. Okay, somebody has actually asked this very, I would say, very relevant question. Well, I did admit that I have not been in the thick of the COVID-19 pandemic stress, simply because I'm kind of retired and working from home most times. And you yourself, being at your age, have also not really been in the thick of it. So how do you think we can tell our participants that we share or know of the kind of stress they are handling? Because there's somebody who says, well, I'm actually experiencing burnout. I'm not very sure how to even start the day, so to speak. So I really need somebody to tell me how to start the day on a very positive note so that I can actually get through the day itself.
My advice to all these people who are having this problem, if you cannot find somebody to talk to me. Talk to me. Because this is the problem I have had from 1,647 people that I've talked to. And even yesterday, I had the same problem too. All I'm saying is talk to someone. Talk to someone whom you trust. See, the problem is you don't trust people. And because you don't trust people, you think everybody is an enemy. Learn to trust. There are people who can't keep their mouth shut. That is true. That means you have got the wrong friends. But if you cannot find anybody else, reach me. Call me on the Zoom. I can give you an hour. No issue. There's no, I want to help people like you. I can make you realize that actually the problem is not outside, it's inside you. You are the problem.
I totally agree with you with that, Dr. Venga. Although the two of us have not been COVID stressed before, I myself, I must admit, have experienced burnout myself. So I would say that the burnout that you are experiencing, if that's what you're actually looking for a solution for, is going to be exactly like the burnout that you are probably experiencing too. during those days, I just felt I didn't want to get out of bed because I've not had enough sleep, thinking about what I have not done, how my problems cannot be solved, and how I'm going to even start the day. And I'm very sure Dr. Venga, in his previous experiences, has also lived through such stressful period. He was telling me how he lost contact with his parents in the Second World War, and he was just floating around in the street, looking at his own life, not knowing what to do. And of course, he was assisted by this person who adopted him and gave him a way out. So what he has actually offered is very true. A lot of us don't reach out to people who have had similar experience, not necessarily COVID-19 stress experience, but experiences like burnout from other episodes, other stresses in our lives. They are all similar in that sense. And I'm very sure now with the COVID stresses being 16 months in the making, there are already probably a lot of experts with COVID burnout stresses whom you can actually reach out for. If you want, we can all start a support group in the university itself or in the country and help each other out. What do you think, Dr. Venga?
Professor Chan, I volunteer to come into your group and help people. Please call me. Please, yes. I volunteer to actually help your medical doctors. You know what, Professor Chan? A very, very long time ago, when I learned how to read and write, one of the books that I bought and read was Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. He's an Austrian. He was taken into the concentration camp, Auschwitz, by the Germans. And he was supposed to be killed because he was already practicing medicine as a medical doctor. And he said every time he saw people being hung, he felt the frustration that he wanted to kill himself. But he said, sense prevailed. He said, every time this kind of thing comes to my mind, he said, immediately I focus my mind that I'm giving a lecture on the psychology of this concentration camp to 1,000 people in a hall, very warm. He imagined that for 20 minutes giving the lecture, and he got out of it. What was he doing? He was doing exactly what I told you just now. He looked at himself. This is the current situation. What can I do with it? So this is a very good thing. Not only my Second World War episode that I've been through a lot of disasters in my life, but I coped and managed it. My recent one is my second son, a 4th stage colon cancer. How do you think a father will feel? So as I told you, this is not just a talk for the sake of talk. This is real life. Okay, now, therefore, my view is like this, okay? We don't know how to talk to another human being. Why have we created this problem? Why can't we talk to somebody very honestly? I feel very frustrated about this or that. Talk about it. And I'm sure in such a vast, and you are the premier university from the very beginning, okay? There must be people there. I volunteer to come and talk to your people, help them individually if needed be, please. Because what else? What else can I give? Except my own experience and try to make you discover yourself. That's it. See, the answer is not out there. The answer is within yourself. You see, if you see me and say, it's like this, okay? If I put my hand together, you see my hand, you can't see my face. I can see my hand. I can't see the other side of my hand because this is what, see, the light we see when there is light. When we cover the light, we can't see. See, this is the problem with human. The human is, we want to see what we want to see. We don't want to see what we don't want to see. And therefore, the perception builds up. Our memory plays a role, and then altogether it drum and make a samba out of it. No? And so, and in the end, you blame everybody else except yourself. All problem in the world can be solved by the individual.
I agree with it, but I may want to differ a bit as well. I mean, there's such a thing as control. Yes. There are only 20% of things we can actually control. 80% of things are just not controllable. Like the number of patients we receive, yes, the kind of workplace situation we are placed in, where policies don't seem to be very rational, yes, or when, you know, when you want to sleep, but of course, the stress around you keeps reverberating into your sleep and hamper you from getting a good rest, and very conveniently bring you to the stage of burnout, if not depression. Yes. How do you think we can get control of the 80%, or at least get a good control of the sleep that you were describing?
Professor Chan, again, a simple technique. It's a very simple technique. You see, the car that you're driving, can the car drive by itself? You don't hold the steering and the car can drive you. Can it happen like that? Cannot. It's impossible. Although they're trying to invent a car without a driver. But for the moment, you are the driver. You are holding the steering. If you can only move your car with your steering and your two legs pressing one button or the other, like that, life is driving. You are the one driving your life. Nobody else is driving you. You do what you can and to the best of your ability. That's all. Do your best to the best of your ability. Not halfway complaining and always being miserable. You are creating the situation yourself. Nobody else is to be blamed. See, this is human. We have grown up blaming everybody else. We have been brought up like that from the, like herds, you know. Humans cannot be brought up like a herd. You bring up yourself. You are the one who have developed yourself. You have come with that mentality. How come I, having been through this life from a young child till now, I got no father, no mother at that time, and yet I'm able to understand life little better than most people, is because I begin to see the difference between what is outside and what I'm thinking inside. It is the inside of you that need to be looked into, not the outside. I know what you're talking about because I've seen hospitals where the patients are all over the place outside. You have not been to India to see that. Only in India you see that. In the Philippines you see that. In Indonesia you see that. In Malaysia also you see that. But the facilities are not there. Okay, we want the best because we have been influenced a lot by the Western type of health situation they have. They have a lot of money. They are privatized. We are a small, you know, I must tell you, ladies and gentlemen, understand this, okay? You know, why is it that Malaysia is able to maintain during this COVID period well? It is because of the existing health system that, in fact, I give credit to Malaysia for having had a good health system for the poor, for everybody. Okay? And because we must understand, we don't have everything. You must live with what you have. That is the first thing I learned in my life. And a simple way of looking at things, okay? But it is a profound way.
Yes. To a lot of us, actually, who have suffered burnout and probably depression as well, it is considered a stigma. Similarly, to be even a COVID patient itself can bring a lot of stigma to us from the public. And that can itself lead to further stress and, of course, to burnout as we struggle to maintain a balanced life with the people we interact with. Now, how do you actually propose that we get out of that kind of situation of stress?
Okay, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that some of the doctors got infected. And you know what, doctor? this anesthesiologist I was talking to you about was also infected. Okay. Now, how did he come out of it? He came out of it because of his mental, physical, and spiritual strength. Okay. He was treated, yes. But you see, the stigma is, if you pay attention to your stigma, the stigma becomes worse. You say, so I am what I am. I've got it. Okay, good luck to me. And just don't even listen to what other people are talking about. If you walk, they move away. Good. It's okay. Accept that it is like that. I mean, first of all, accept. It's like this, okay? If you are a leper, people will stay away from you, okay? COVID is a virus. You have lived with the virus all your life. And you as a medical doctor know that you have so much of virus existing in you, living with you. What is one more? Not too much, isn't it? It's for you to accept it and live with it. Yes, people will have, they throw things at you. Because why? Remember, you cannot enlighten the unconscious. People are unconscious. And because they are unconscious, they see things without consciousness. You are a conscious person. You look at the person, smile. You are unconscious. But don't tell. Keep it to yourself. Move on in life.
Yeah, actually, you're right. You know, we actually focus on too many things, how other people feel about us, and then we consider it a stressor when it does not necessarily need to be.
Yes.
Actually as well, you know, we tend to bring our worries everywhere. We should learn probably how to diversify our activities. I know it's not easy. As much as possible, when you are at home, be present.
Yes.
You know, I once read the book, The Power of Now. You can't change what has happened. If you had a quarrel with your head of department,
yes,
you just have to make peace with him or her. From now onwards, treat him like a human. Yes. Treat him like as vulnerable as you are. This person is just as vulnerable to the forces of life. So every one of us is human. Every one of us can only live the moment. We can't live the future. The future is something we plan for. But, you know, it may take strange forms. The power is actually to live is actually the present moment. If you don't live the present moment and you try to live in the past that you can't change, you are just contributing, allowing the past to contribute to your burnout. So live for the moment, say, okay, I have the next 1 minute or two to continue with this discussion and make an interesting discussion out of it. That's the power I have in my hands now. I can't change whatever. I may have said things that are not quite right. I can't change that. And if you have a bad impression, just too bad. But as of now, I want to do my best, as you say, and we'll forget about the future. The future will take care of itself. Usually, if you're on a good track, the future will really usually be very good. And if you have all the attributes, you have developed those attributes that Dr. Venga was speaking about, it will give you the inner strength, the inner resilience to take on whatever, whether it be the invisible virus or a huge animal that's coming to attack you, you can have those defenses in you and you will stay alive. In fact, the default mode of living is to stay alive. Being a physiologist or with interest in physiology, I do realize not easy to kill a person because we actually tend to live forever or for a long time, our lifespan, if we only allow the positive things to occur both mentally as well as physiologically. I think we may not have addressed everything because there's still more questions that are unanswered. But with the organizers' help, I will make sure these questions are directed to Dr. Venga. I have actually written his address somewhere. I hope all of you can see that. And maybe I would like to ask Dr. Venga if he would like to summarize as well as have any famous last word advice for all those of you who are actually suffering burnout.
Okay, may I just say that? First of all, thank you very much for having me. And I hope that you will ask me again to help you if whenever needed. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is, Professor Chan, your suggestion that we should form a small group within the university to help people. May I ask you to make that happen? And I volunteer. Now, we can do it on the Zoom, no issue. We can do it. And you know, 1 hour, just 1 hour. It's good.
All right. We shall call it the Burnout Venga Group. Wow.
A help group. You can. That's all. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay. Any last words for advice for the group before the session is over?
Okay. Remember, almost everything that you consider bad is created by you. You create that yourself. Nobody else is creating for you. It's an illusion to think the world is a bad place. The world is a good place. It's you that make the world better. It's you, not the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Venga, for a really informative and entertaining session. And we will definitely invite you over to actually get us going when you're feeling down. Thank you again. Thank you for all your questions. And thank you to all the participants for your participation. And thank you to the organizers for allowing us to have this 1 hour of time to be with each other. Thank you. And I hope that those who feel burnt out will reach out for help. And you have my email address, and I'm sure a lot of you have my handphone as well. You can reach out and I will try my very best to make sure you're fed to the correct person for help. Thank you again. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you.